All right, in this video, we're going to cover what oil ratio you should run in your two-stroke, okay? And, you know, I can make this video really short and say, hey, look in your service manual and run what they recommend, right? But I've noticed a trend online, you know, on motorcycle forums and in Facebook groups, anywhere where motorcycle people are talking. And, you know, the most debated and asked topic is, hey, what oil should I run? Hey, what ratio should I run? And I've noticed the trend where people say, hey, run less oil, run 40 to 1, 50 to 1. And I'm here to tell you that you should do the opposite, okay? Run what they recommend or even more oil. And I'll show you why based off the information I have learned over the years and so forth. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to set up the whiteboard and we can talk about it. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the service manual, okay? If I open, this is for my KX250. If I open it up, it says, it gives me a bunch of different oil brands that I can use. Kawasaki two-stroke racing oil, Shell Super M, Castrol this, Rock Oil K2, whatever. And it says right here, 32 to 1. So that's it. The video can end right here, right? And what's weird is people take this information, just throw it out and go, hey, I'm going to run 40 to 1, 50 to 1, or whatever, based off what I read on the internet, okay? And I think these people are trying to solve some problems. So let's talk about that for a second. So the first one is spooge. Okay, spooge is that black oily stuff that can be spit out from the silencer or from the power valve breather hose. And this is nothing more than unburnt fuel. Okay, so spooge is unburnt fuel oil. The engine is not burning hot enough. It's running too rich, and therefore you get this. And what they try to do is reduce the amount of oil in the gas to reduce this, okay? But I'm here to tell you that you're doing just the opposite. You're actually making the engine run richer, and we'll get into that in a second. Okay, the second one is smoke. People complain that, hey, it's smoking like crazy, so they think it's an oil problem, and they reduce the oil amount, okay? All right, well, I'm here to tell you that both of these can be solved by jetting your bike. If you have either of these two issues, then it's too rich, okay? And most two-strokes are rich from the factory. Some are really bad, some are okay, but generally speaking, if you jet down, both of these will be reduced or eliminated, okay? I have my KX250 running really good. The jetting's a little on the fat side. I like to go a little bit on the fat side for a safety margin, but both of these were issues in stock jetting form, and I have eliminated it by jetting down, okay? And I run 32 to 1 or sometimes a little more oil, and I'll just go over it why. So here's another reason why you shouldn't discount what's in here, okay? Companies like this do a lot of testing. They throw a lot of money at their products to do testing, and then they publish this information for you, okay? So, you know, it's always a good idea to listen to that, okay? And for example, I'm an engineer. I work for companies, and I have to do tech manuals and testing and whatnot. And usually the information we publish, there's a lot of testing, a lot of data, and a lot of time that goes into that to publish such information, okay? So that's why you should listen to that. Okay, we're going to get back to spooge and smoke and all that in a little bit, but I want to show you and prove to you that more oil equals power, okay? Your engine will produce more power with a higher ratio. I'm sorry, a lower ratio, more oil, okay? So here's an article, and it is dated from February 1978. I know it's an old article, but what they did is they dyno tested a motor with the only variable being the oil ratio, okay? And it was done with castor oil on a PE 250, but what they noticed is they did three ratios, 15 to 1, 20 to 1, and 30 to 1, okay? At 20 to 1, it made 26.9 horsepower. Okay, they bumped the ratio to 30-1, and they saw a 10% drop in horsepower. It went down to 24.5. Okay, then they increased the oil content to 15-1, which is crazy, and they didn't follow any plugs at that ratio. Okay, the horsepower went up 1.5%. Okay, so that's almost a difference of 12% power difference between 15-1 and 30-1. Okay, now again, this is from 78. Oil technology has gone a long ways. Okay, but don't discount the fact that this is still true. Okay, they also noticed a lot of piston and cylinder wall scuffing at 30-1. Okay, and basically what they summarized is that the oil creates a seal and you get more compression. Okay, think about that. If you have a worn out engine and you do a compression test and it's low, you squirt some oil in the cylinders, that oil provides a temporary seal with the piston rings. Increased compression right off the bat. So there you go. So here's your cylinder wall, right? Think about it. In here, you want a nice oil film to prevent scuffing and to create a temporary seal. So you want more oil. Okay, there you go. That's another reason why you should run 30-1 or higher or whatever, 30-1 or lower, sorry, more oil, instead of the opposite, what you read on the internet. Okay, I want to also explain what actually happens when you reduce the amount of oil or go with a higher ratio and do no other changes. Okay, let's say we had 2 milkshakes, right? I make this one with a lot of ice cream and very little milk, okay? So it's very thick. Let's say this would be equivalent to 20-1 oil ratio, right? Now, if I put a straw in here and try to suck that milkshake, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be hard to draw it up, right? And a carburetor is nothing more than this right here. It's a straw, it's a milk, you're drawing fuel, right? Now let's say I go to 40-1, right? This is a much thinner milkshake, right? And if the carburetor here represents this straw, it's going to be much easier to suck up. So when you do nothing more than change the ratio to a higher ratio, you are actually going to be running the bike richer, okay? And you're generating less power, okay? So that's not ideal, right? Okay, here's another example, and this comes directly from Maxima Racing Oils. Here's an oil ratio chart, and they say normal use ratios are 32-1 to 50-1. Racing requires greater oil content. Ratios no higher than 40-1 should be used. Small displacement, high RPM racing engines should use ratios no higher than 32-1. So what they're saying is it could also be application dependent. Let's say I had a 250 and I was trail riding and I'm just putting along in tight trails and I'm going really slow, low RPM. Yeah, you can use a higher ratio, okay, because it's not working that hard. On the flip side, let's say I was on an 80cc dirt bike in the sand dunes and I had the thing freaking pinned all day long. You're going to want more oil. That engine is at a high RPM, high load. You need oil to protect that motor, okay? Also, right here, increase oil may require increasing jet sizes, okay, because it's thicker. It's a thicker milkshake, right? Decreasing oil per gallon may require reducing jet sizes, okay? So it's going to run richer and you got to lean it out. Okay, I do want to mention that there are oils on the market that claim, hey, you can run this oil at 60-1 or 100-1 or whatever it is. Well, you should go with what the manufacturer recommends for the application. If this is like a racing oil for a two-stroke bike and they're claiming 100-1, then run it. Don't run 32-1 because you know what? They probably, the oils, it's probably concentrated different, okay? So the end result is you're getting the oil that you need and that they want you to have. But I just want to be clear that the problem I have is if the oil is designed to be at 32-1 and your bike is 32-1, I don't want you to go 40-1, 50-1 like people are saying on the internet, okay? You need the oil, all right? And think about it. If I had a 4-stroke engine and it holds 5 quarts of oil or whatever, do you ever go drain a quart out of it just for the hell of it, just because, hey, I want to reduce the amount of oil? No, you leave that oil in there, right? It needs to lubricate things. Okay, so the oil that I like to use is just Yamalube 2R, the racing oil. This is for premix, and I run it at 32 to 1. Now, this is an ester-based oil. I believe it's semi-synthetic. And the reason I run this is because, you know, like on my 250, it has a power valve system, and this type of oil tends to run clean, and it keeps the power valve clean. Now, I know a lot of people are fans of Castor, like Castor 927. Yeah, that's a bean oil, and it does a very good job of lubricating and protecting the engine, and it smells good. But it's a dirty oil. So if you have a bike with a power valve, you know, it's going to get gunked up, okay? And depending how often you go in there and rebuild the top end and clean all that out, that may be an issue. So make sure, you know, there's a lot to oils, okay? I only know this much, okay? Just run a quality oil, a name brand, a racing oil in your dirt bike, and just run it at the proper ratio. Don't start leaning it out, because like I've explained, you're going to run richer, you're losing power, most importantly, and everyone's buying aftermarket parts to increase horsepower on your bike, but then they skimp on the oil, which is an easy thing to add, right? It's free, kind of free. So that's everything I want to talk about. And if you are spooging, you need to jet down, okay? The KX250 that I just put together, it was spooging bad, and I started leaning it out, and it was reduced a lot. I still have more jetting work to do, but what I'm getting at is, I got 2 KX250s, by the way. So that's all I want to say in this video. Let me know your comments below. I'm sure I'll get a ton of them. But all right, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.